My Season 1 tier list for Marvel Rivals. The patch notes just released for the game. We've made a video about it, talking about the new Season 1 update overall and all the changes involved in it, the buffs, the nerfs, and what the characters will possess in their kit. Make sure to watch that video as we go through those characters in this tier list as we change it up. Season 0 is closing and this is my current tier list, but in Season 1 some of these characters have shaken up and changed in their meta and their overall damage within their gameplay, which makes them much more different from what we have now, and the two additions are the new characters, Mr. Fantastic and also Invisible Woman. We'll talk about these characters in detail and provide information about where they place in this ranking and how other characters have moved up and down in this current tier list. So make sure to watch through the entirety of this video to understand what the characters have and what they can provide at their core through the changes that happened in the Season 1 update and the new characters too. So let's get into it. But before we do get into this video, in anticipation for Season 1, I'll be giving away a Season 1 Luxury Battle Pass. So make sure you are subscribed, comment down in the comment section down below, like the video, share this video with 2 friends, and also follow us on Instagram at BloodThirstyReels and our TikTok, BloodThirstyLord. And also follow our Twitch, BloodThirstyLords. All socials are in the description below. I'll be giving away a Battle Pass every week, so make sure to join the Discord to see the winners. So the first character we need to talk about is Ironman. Ironman is still going to be somewhat S tier, nothing really changed on the character. The Gamma team up is still effective and Hulk is still there. He's not weak in any capacity, even with his nerfs. So he's going to stay S tier / A tier. I'm going to keep Ironman at a high A tier. He has great damage through his base kit. His laser beam is disgusting. His ult and destroy supports like Luna and Mantis when they are in their ultimates, which makes him a very effective character. Punisher, S tier. With the changes that happened recently, they just decreased his spread on his weapons, being his shotgun and his rifle, which means he has high damage overall because he's more consistent, and the character has been very consistent in Season 0. In Season 1, I just don't see that changing at all. At least in the first half, he's going to be a very effective character in the S tier. His ultimate is a game changer, works really well with the Rocket team up as he gets infinite ammo and his fire becomes absolutely insane, and it does affect his ultimate status too, which means he can destroy anybody in his path. And now Hulk, he did receive a slight nerf. I don't think that's going to make him bad in any capacity, but I'm going to keep him safe at the A tier. He's able to leap a lot, do a lot of damage. His ultimate does so much damage with the 1-2 punch into Thunderclap. He's also able to put enemies under stasis, interrupting their ultimates or big plays that can even happen, making fights go into his favor at a 6v5, and his shield mechanics can be applied to his teammates to keep them all alive, but also charge his ultimate even faster. Hulk is a great character. I'm going to keep him in the A tier, but I'm leaning towards the S tier. But I think I'm going to put it up to the S tier, because anytime this character is available, he's usually banned because the team up is so good. So Hulk, 100% S tier. Hela though, Hela received a nerf. She does less damage in her seasonal benefit through her team up with Thor and Loki. Her season damage has dropped from 20 to 50%, which means she might be lingering at an A tier. I'm going to put a high A tier. And her base health has decreased to 250 from 275. So she's easier to one-shot, but she still has invisibility frames through her dash and her ultimate, which will make her very annoying, and she has a great crowd control ability, stunning multiple enemies with one stun ability, and pulling them towards the center, which can synergize with other ultimates in the game. It's kind of crazy. And she's just got high burst damage. Even with her nerf, if she still goes for headshots, her time to kill is still the same. Hawkeye got a slight buff and then a nerf overall with his kit. He can't one-shot as much, so that's going to make him a bit less effective. So he's not going to be S tier anymore. He's dropping down to the A tier. His blast arrows do more because they're easy to land, but the blast arrows have never been the most shiny part of his kit. If you want to see more details about the character's kit overall, as we explained it, make sure to double check it in our breakdown of the Season 1 update. But the rest of his builds haven't changed. He's able to knock back opponents, jump around, land some dirty shots, and works well with Black Widow in the seasonal buff. But his damage has decreased as well from 20% increased buff to 15% damage. So overall, his damage output will be lower. Keep that in mind. So A tier could be a B tier because it's so easily diveable in majority cases. But I'm going to keep it at A tier for now. Luna, S tier. Her ultimate is great, even with the nerf to do the spinning wheel bullshit they used to do when they can just base drop everything and use both damage boost and also healing boost. That's been nerfed. That was an exploit / bug, and that's been changed. So that's not too much of a nerf on the character's kit because it's not intended to be there. She's still going to be very effective, prolonging fights, being a W character when she just activates the ultimate and the whole team W's towards the enemy team to get some free eliminations. And she has great burst healing, great survivability, great movement, has a freeze ability, so it stops divers from actually attacking her. Just a great character overall, and I can't see that character changing at this very time. So 100% S tier. But Mantis though received a bit of a nerf on her movement. So she was S tier. I might drop it to A tier because her movement being such a drastic point of her kit that she doesn't have it anymore, which will make it easier for other players to eliminate her, and that is going to ruin her survivability. So A tier, but she still has high damage, gives great damage boost towards herself and other teammates, and also is able to put enemies to sleep, which is the best part of her kit. And then ultimate keeps everybody alive, movement speed increase, great for W plays. So I'm going to keep Mantis at A tier at the moment. Magneto. This guy's still a Gig Chad. I don't think he's weak. Everyone that says Magneto is weak is lying because he's just an effective character. He's able to shield characters effectively, himself or his teammates, have another shield that stops any type of projectiles for 3 seconds, and then his ultimate collects all projectiles being shot in the area around him, and then he's able to shoot them back with higher charge to do increased damage towards an opponent with a meteorite. So he can kill Punishers easily. When the Punisher enters the ultimate, you just charge up your ultimate freely and throw it as quickly as possible to kill the Punisher, and you just ruin their ultimate with your ultimate, and it's a game changer. Now into 65 in your favor. And the changes that Magneto did receive with Wanda, and Wanda most likely be more of a playable character in Season 1, his damage output will be off the chain with the team up functionality. So this character is staying at S tier. Doctor Strange also received a bit of a nerf on his Maelstrom ability and his Gamma Maelstrom, which is the area effect damage he does around him when he presses E. It's not going to be as effective, but I don't think it's going to ruin the character's skin in any aspect, and his shield and K abilities are not going to be as prominent, but it doesn't even matter because he has so much utility overall with the teamfight capabilities and his portal plays that he still will be an effective character. So he's still going to deserve the S tier. Especially with the Hulk team up still being available, I can't see that changing. Even Iron Man could be a bit higher than Hela. Depends on what you think, but we're going to keep Iron Man a bit safe on the A tier. With the team up, S tier, but put him on his own, A tier. Now move on to Thor. Thor received a great buff. He's got increased HP, has a better ultimate. I think he jumped up quite a bit. In our old tier list, he was low A tier. I think he deserves a mid A tier at the moment. So pretty much around here, next to Iron Man. He'll be a very effective character, and he'll team up really well with Storm, which will be most likely an effective character this season, which we'll talk about once we get there. But Thor is just a great character overall, able to dash a lot, gain shield, awaken to do more damage, and kill targets from afar, because his damage fall-off doesn't really exist with his awakened state, and his ultimate now not being interruptible, he can just go in, activate, do as much damage as possible, and hopefully not get destroyed, because he has around 600 HP in the ultimate status, I believe. But he's able now to survive that and kill opponents around him without being CC'd or being cut off in his ultimate in any capacity. So I like to see that. That is really, really good to see on Thor. So he's going to stay in mid A tier. Wolverine, though, did receive a buff. So I put him at A tier last time. I think he's going to jump into the S tier. Like, he might be as effective as Punisher. And I'm not saying that's a meme in any aspect. He's just going to be very consistent at what he does, which is kidnapping players, and is able to actually isolate them quite easily and be consistently in fights because he got a base health increase from 300 to 350, so he's always going to be in fights. And then he also has his passive. When that passive's up, he's able to survive even longer. And if it's not up, the increased HP pool will help out drastically. And his raw ability, Undying Animal, is still effective, so he's able to survive even further with that as well. His plays are so good, it took around 2-3 weeks for players to understand how strong Wolverine actually is, but it was done. And everybody knows Wolverine is a scary character to verse, and also a great character if you play it yourself. And if you can excel at it, you'll get to rank 1 easily with this character. So Wolverine, I'm going to put him at S tier for this season. Groot didn't receive any changes this season, but he's just an effective tank. Like, he's never a bad tank, so I think he's like A tier, but I'm put it behind Thor. I think behind Thor. Just because the walls are so good, I think he has to be above Thor. And that is Groot standing at A tier, with his ultimate being a game changer, pulling everyone towards the center, destroying them, and this will work with other characters as well, so he might actually go up in team comps, depending on your team comp. Groot could be S tier character with a Moonknight, which we'll talk about Moonknight as well in this tier list. But guaranteed right now, A tier, very crazy character, does a lot of damage that is unexpected. His walls help him drastically, helps the team comp, helps segment fights. They shouldn't have any cover, but now do because of his walls. Great character, and I just love seeing a Groot pop off. So A tier. Rocket got a buff to his team up ability, being his ammo intervention, which had better cooldown, so he's able to use them all with Winter Soldier and Punisher. But also his healing orbs got better, at 10 health increase per second on his healing orb. So he's going to be A tier. I don't see his character falling off. He's just so good. Has the respawn functionality, has damage boost ultimate, which means that your whole team can go forward and destroy them with ease. And his movement is great, so you try to pick a Rocket player as a Panther. Sometimes the Rocket player can outmaneuver Panther so easily. So that's something to keep in mind, that Rockets can be very good or really bad. Just depends on the player. But I'm going to put it as A tier because this character is great. And now Magik, my main. This character hasn't changed, which is kind of good. They did give her a slight buff on one of her abilities to do more damage in her ultimate form. So she'll be more consistent in her ultimate form to do more damage and get more eliminations, which is the most important part about Magik. So I'm going to put her around here. I think she's much more effective than Thor, due to the fact that she can go in, create some disruptions, and be effective as a duelist. But it might be behind Thor a bit. I think it's here. I think it's here. Yeah, right around here. I think Magik is still going to be middle A tier. The character's kit just feels like that. It's middle A tier. The knockup is great. The damage is great. The engagement's be amazing. You just have to understand how to use it. Controlling space with the little demon is so important. Make sure you're an effective Magik player will make you A tier. If you're not effective on Magik, it's going to be like C or B tier. But if you're effective at the character, easy A. Black Panther did receive a nerf on his bonus HP per Spirit Rend, which is his dash ability per marked target. So he's not going to gain a lot of HP, but he's still going to be an effective character. I don't see this character falling off. Like, I think I had a lower last time. I'm going to put it around here. I think high A tier for Panther. He just seems like such a strong character. In the right hands, it's so good. In the wrong hands, it can be bad. Same thing as Magik. Usually all the assassin melee characters can fall off really hard if it's not played correctly. Just the way it is. So that is going to be high A tier. Nice ultimate resets to do huge amounts of damage. Can team wipe instantly if the team's not paying attention. And this character will easily get you to Grandmaster like it's nothing. And then from there, it becomes who's the better player. And if you can destroy the whole enemy team as Black Panther, that is epic as hell. So, A tier. Starlord's effectiveness has been absolutely insane. I don't know if that warrants a S tier because he's so strong right now and he didn't really change as much. Just players that end up playing it a lot more and it just become more effective. But I'm going to give him most likely a high A tier. I do think it's a very effective character, but I think I'm going to put him around here, right behind Hela. Because Hela's just effectiveness is so annoying, where Starlord can be eliminated in certain situations, but even then, just depends. His aimbot ability on his ultimate is a game changer, can get quads like it's nothing. And he's just able to beam a lot and survive a lot with his dashes and movement. So great character, A tier. I'll put Black Panther behind Hela, I think. Just because Hela can do so much. Even though with the nerf, I feel like she's deserving of that spot still at high A tier. Adam Warlock didn't receive anything, but Adam Warlock is still good. I don't see Adam Warlock being bad in any aspect. I'm going to put him at A tier. Looks like the A tier this time is going to be kind of packed because of so much happening in this game. And everyone receiving a buff to make them really effective. Loki. I'm going to put Loki at maybe a lower part of the spectrum because you have to be really good at Loki. Like really, really good. And if you master Loki, it can feel really nice because you can combo into stealing your own teammate's ultimate or the enemy ultimates, being a Luna or Mantis to keep your team even alive even further. Or Cloak and Dagger this season. So deserving of an A tier, a very strong character, can be kind of niche. But I think because of the nicheness of the character, I might drop it down a tier. Just because I think there might be better healers this season. Even though he can steal abilities and do stuff, I think there is better options. I'm going to put him at B tier. This might be kind of controversial, but I'm going to put it as B tier. Because sometimes you can have really good Lokis or really bad Loki. It just depends on the team comp and the player. I'm going to keep it at a B tier. His deception is great. His damage is actually surprisingly broken. And his healing is amazing in certain instances, especially with his runestone. If done correctly. It can stop the whole enemy team from diving you because of that one ability. Psylocke. I think I'm going to drop Psylocke down. I think she's going to be as effective as Magik this season. I don't think she's going to be OP as hell, because the ult can now be blocked quite easily through shields and such. So she's not high S tier or high A tier. I think she's maybe mid. I'm going to put it like here. Mid A tier. I think that's kind of good for the character. Getting close towards Magik in the gameplay experience. She still has everything else in Power Kent, which is able to one-shot quite effectively, but other characters this season will have increased base HP, so it'll make it even harder for one-shots to occur on assassins and melee characters or dive characters. So these characters get slightly nerfed because of that. And there'll be other picks to choose than them in this situation. But it has great engagements. Her ultimate can be a game changer. And it can be just effective overall in team wipes. So it's still going to be a strong solo queue character no matter what. Penny. I'm going to put Penny at B tier. I know there's some great Pennies out there which will say Penny's S tier. But I'm just going to keep it at B tier. I don't think she's that crazy. She's good at defense and defense only. Can be used on attack as well, depending on the enemy team comp. If they're using melee characters, using a Penny on attack actually works pretty darn well. Just depends how you play the character. And you have to play it very, very effectively. So make sure your nest is still available. You're peeling for your nest by taking the body shots while the nest is still surviving. So you get health regen in the same instance. And you just keep doing that as long as possible to prolong the fights as much as possible, where the enemy team can't even dive because of that. So that's usually a great character for defense, but can be used in all instances. So ultimate is kind of shitty, but that's pretty much it. The rest of the kit is very strong. So B tier for Peni Parker. Venom this season got a buff. I think I had Venom at B tier last season. I'm going to actually put Venom higher. I think Venom will be A tier. The same effectiveness as Thor. We have a dive Vanguard that can go in, do damage, survive because of his shield being more prominent, and actually having more benefits. Compared to the 1 ratio it was, is now 1.2, so he gains more shield in that status, which means his cooldowns on his other abilities can refresh and he can just dip out. Great, and his ultimate does more damage, so he'll be eating backlines like it's nothing. Venom might be a very strong character this season, especially with dive comps like Wolverine and such. It can work out really well. And that's a big jump for Venom because Venom was honestly not picked at all. in the last season. And if he was, it was picked in the very start of the season, and then later on through ranked, no one played Venom at all. It was not even banned because no one cared for the character. Now, Squirrel Girl. This character was, I think, B or C last season. B. I had a B character above Peni Parker. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think it's close to A. I think it's as effective as Hawkeye to a certain degree. It just depends on the situation. You have Disengage twice if you want to take it. You have Starlord abilities twice if you want to take it. You have huge damage output. Yes, it might not kill enemies if you're not directly shooting the enemy, because you have to keep that in mind. You just don't want to do damage and not kill anyone. You want to kill someone. Make sure to do it properly with this character. But her ultimate now is much more effective. And I think for that instance, she needs to be A tier. I don't see this character be weak at all. Her ultimate does synergize well with every other ultimate that can cluster together. And she can be a very effective character as solo queue if she's not versing anyone that is a dive character. So when she starts to verse dive characters, she needs to land her stun lock ability. If she doesn't, it's going to be hard to be effective on this character overall. But that's when you can switch out and play maybe a Hawkeye, play a Magik, switch to Psylocke, Ironman. There's other options in that instance. Majority of situations, I see this character being A tier and being effective, especially in good team comps. Now, Moonknight himself. So, Moonknight was like B tier, I think, as well. Yeah, he was B tier. And this character, I think, is actually strong. Yes, he still has problems with being dived upon, and that will cause some issues. But if you're able to position well, be effective on the character, I think this warrants an A tier. Especially with his ultimate doing a lot more damage per talent and having a larger radius on the explosions, that he will become more effective just because of that. Which means when he's in the situation to use his ultimate with Groot set up, which is maybe the best situation to be in, he'll eliminate everybody. And if they try to escape, they can't escape anymore. There's no chance. So that's what makes Moonknight effective. And the placement of his Unk abilities will pull enemies towards the center, which can combo with Groot's ultimate, combo with his damage overall. He's going to be a very strong character this season. I feel like we've slept on Moonknight for a bit when it came to the higher ranks. We may actually see Moonknights more often in Grandmaster and above because of this. Winter Soldier, I think I had this character at B tier. I could be wrong. Yeah, I had it at B tier. I think I'm going to place him at B tier still because of the nerfs that happened. He's like a B tier / low A tier, depending on the situation you're in. Because the character has capacities to burst like crazy and do some crazy kill resets. But if he's not doing that, it's kind of like lackluster. And then his changes that happen this season make his damage even worse from far range. So he's just effective at close to medium range. And that might ruin the character's kit overall because it means you can't get long distance shots as much or do as much damage to kill those targets. So he's going to become weaker compared to other characters that are above him in that situation. But I don't think it's weaker than Moonknight. I think this character still has more effectiveness. Even in this situation, I think it's going to be like here. Like right underneath Hawkeye. Yeah, I think like this. Which is good. This is a good thing to see. And then Cloak and Dagger gets a huge buff. I think I had the Cloak and Dagger at B tier as well. I think she deserves an A tier. I think she might be a niche pick as well. Like Raccoon. Depending on your team comp, it's going to be good. But even if you play Cloak and Dagger just now like that, it's going to work out well. Her Dagger ability, the ultimate one, the Dagger Storm, I think it's called. She has more healing because she's able to use it more often. That's nice. And then alongside that, her ultimate has 4 charges now instead of 3. So she can take more area over, control that into her favor, and have more healing. Which will also lead to surviving ultimates that you couldn't survive before, like Punisher's ultimate for much longer when you're taking the hits there. So that's really great. And the character is able to do a lot. Great team synergy, phase teammates to stop Ironman ultimates and such. And then alongside that, do huge damage as you're able to go between Cloak and Dagger, depending on the situation, heal teammates, deal damage to opponents, and also make them vulnerable to more damage. And if not, increase the healing capabilities of your teammate with Dagger as well, as you're healing them. So there's a lot of benefits here for the character. It's a really good character that can do pretty much everything. Sometimes not the best at everything, but can be a very effective character to switch between continuously. So I think Cloak and Dagger does warrant this spot at A tier. Namor though, I think Namor's S tier. I think it's going to be as strong as Punisher. And anyone that says less than this is just shocking. I'll be honest, the character is very effective right now. And yes, it didn't get banned as much as Hela and Hawkeye last season. But in Season 1, this character will get banned. And it was getting banned towards the end of Season 0 because of characters like Panther, Wolverine, Psylocke that wanted to be played. And you couldn't play them against a Namor player. So you'd ban Namor by purpose to have an easy time on those characters to dive the enemy team comp. Now, Namor has such great damage output through his hit scan somewhat properties on his projectile. And then his turrets got even stronger. He's able to place them in better positions, but also the Luna setup with the Frozen Spawn can actually do a lot more. He has a lot more damage, applies a lot more slow, and also does more damage in the Berserk state, which is the Fire Ray state on the Frozen Spawn. I think this character's going to be busted. Playing constant slows on divers, making them completely useless, where he can land his attacks like it's nothing. Namor will be a very strong character in defense, but also on attack, as you use his character as a flanker, take high ground, and use all your turrets and set them up. in order to destroy the enemy team as you go to a point to converge. Great character. I think this character is going to be insane in Season 1. Must-play character, you have to pick it. Now, Spider-Man, I think it's still like B tier. I'm a little bit high B tier. Depends how you play the character. The character be a really good character, but other times you have to sweat like no tomorrow to get the full value of this character. And now with the rest of the roster having some of their HP increase, it's going to become even harder to do the one-shot combo. So it's going to be kind of challenging for Spider-Man players to get any value, especially in ranked. And they might be plateauing around Grandmaster because of that, even if they are good at this character. I know Necros does a lot with the character, but he's also partnered up with a lot of people, so depending if you're playing solo queue or not, will also affect how you perform as Spider-Man. Now, Storm, this character has been my secret pick, and I think this season, it's going to be S tier. I definitely think it's going to be S tier. Yes, she can still be eliminated in certain situations, depending on bad positioning, and her movement speed is not the greatest, but depending how you play on this character, you can get so much value. Her damage got increased, her velocity on attacks got better, and her right click got better in damage aspects, so she's able to burst some more targets. And then her ultimate got better, as she's able to survive after using the ultimate, and that makes her very effective. And now with a Thor team up, since Thor got buffed, you play Thor, Captain America, and the Captain America buffed as well, we'll talk about that as well. And then Storm in a team up, and you get the Chain Lightning, and then Captain America gets his benefit as well. You can do so much with this team up that it might be very effective in the higher ranks, and actually pickable because of that. If not, I still would pick Storm over Ironman because of the effectiveness that this character has. It can't destroy Lunar Ultimate or Mantis, but the consistency of the character is really, really good. The damage boost they can give to your teammates, pair that with the Mantis player, could be insane. Or the movement speed increase they can give to your Wolverine player to engage in further to make it easier to get that right pick. Or just use the engagement of increased movement speed with the Lunar Ultimate and just rush in and destroy everybody while getting healed by the teammates. It just works out. And your ultimate, you can always wait out enemy ultimates and then just activate your ultimate right after it and it'll get a guaranteed quad. I think it's just such a no-brain character. I remember making a video on Storm initially saying that she needs a buff, but then I played her more and more as my secret pick, even in ranked, and the character kind of does a lot of work. So I think that this buff that she got is going to be really amazing. If anything in the future, they give her a movement speed buff in the second half of the season, she'll be completely broken. She might be high S tier instead of being mid S tier. But either way, S tier guaranteed for this character. Ironfist. I think Ironfist is actually kind of decent. I'm going to put him at A tier. The reason why his survivability is great, his engagements are good, he can make the enemy team focus on peeling for their backline, which then makes it easy for your team to push in as a front line to destroy them and collapse on them. And if you have any issues and the enemy team tries to collapse on you when you're on their backline, you just fly and kick out of there. It's a really good character. Like, I didn't think it was that effective until I started playing more and more in ranked, and I can see this character having some moments where it's actually game-changing, where you need to play it. There's some players that are in the high ranks right now, in the top 500, that just play Iron Fist. It is possible, it is doable, and this character is a strong character. Will it receive some buffs in the future to make it even better? Maybe, but not yet. Not in Season 1 at least. Captain America. I think I put this character at B, maybe? I put it at C. I'm going to put it at B this time. B or maybe low A. Captain America got a huge buff on his HP pool and his effectiveness overall, being more survivable in certain situations with his ultimate and his dashing capabilities. He's going to be a constant nuisance. The problem is the character's kind of challenging to play, and the reward that you get out of the character can be very hard to reach. But once you get to the point when you're much more consistent on the character, the value of Captain America's in your team comp could work really well. And as we mentioned before, the Thor team up with Storm team up could be really nice because of the increased damage that Captain America does get as well on his shield throws. So I think that's really good for the character. Can lead to Captain America destroying the enemy backline. He's similar to Iron Fist, so I'm going to put him like at A tier because of that. And he has more survivability because of his shield capabilities. Now, Jeff the Shark, I think I'm going to keep this character at C. I don't like him because I think it's just kind of underwhelming. And now with his ultimate being weaker, he won't catch everybody in high verticality as well when he activates it. So you can actually now dodge it in verticality. That makes him drastically weaker. His healing's alright. His big plays can happen when he steals the whole enemy team and jumps off the map. You can still do that. But that doesn't happen as effectively as other characters above him with their playstyles. So it's like around a C tier in that capacity. Now, Black Widow got a buff too. Black Widow has high movement speed, higher potency of her ultimate being more effective because she's able to start up quicker and use it much more often. And it just ends up being more of a nuisance this season. She didn't get any increased damage in any capacity, but she doesn't have any damage fall off, where all other characters that got nerfed in the higher ranks had damage fall off. So that means that she has the time to shine now in Season 1. I don't think she's a D tier champion anymore. I think she's at B tier, high B at the moment. Because her movement speed resets so quickly, she can just keep moving around, getting other shots, being sneaky, getting her charge on ultimate as quickly as possible and using that in team fights. Even though it's kind of underwhelming, you can still help out drastically because of the slow. You can now synergize that with other ultimates like Squirrel Girl, Moonknight, and just get some free damage out of it as a team player. Now, Scarlet Witch, aka Wonder. This character was, I think, D tier or F tier last time. I think it's still in line as being an effective character, but nothing too crazy, that I think I might warrant it a B tier. Because the auto-aim functionality damage has increased, and then her right-click damage has increased, which means she can now squash backlines and destroy enemies with hopefully not being out-healed, which is the most important part. And I think that's what makes her strong. She has great survivability with her invisibility ability, which becomes like a little phase of a ghost and disappears. She has 2 charges of that, so now she can survive more often. And her stun ability is kind of decent, and her ultimate can be a game changer if nobody's looking. If someone looks up there and they just destroy you, well, no value on the ultimate. Other times, if you can get that value, it could be really good. So I'm going to keep that at high B tier. Now let's move on to the new heroes in Marvel Rivals. Mr. Fantastic, I think easily A tier. I think it's around here. Oh, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe around here. Mid A tier. The reason why I think it's mid A tier, the capacity to deflect and be a nuisance through the deflect and absorption damage is such a useful tool that Mr. Fantastic can make ultimates like Iron Man's ultimate completely useless in those situations. And he has a very short cooldown on that ability, so he can keep using it and be a constant threat with that ability as Mr. Fantastic. His pull ability is nice too, leads to just great synergy. You pull enemies, clash them together, and even if they don't clash together, you put them towards a point where your teammates can now destroy them because they're more in a closer area, which means they can take more damage from multiple teammates instead of one teammate pointing another area, another teammate pointing another area. They're all together clustered, and it's just easy to melt them. Great stuff. And his dash ability is nice overall. His ultimate is a bit weak, I think. From what I've seen, it looks a bit weak. And if there's any way to buff that in the future, that'll make him stronger. But right now, he's going to be middle A tier because of that. A very effective character, and this is only early days, so with more game time, this character could be even better, or even worse. We don't know yet, so we'll find out throughout the season. Invisible Woman, though, I think Invisible Woman is as effective as Luna. I think she deserves an S tier. Matt's got nerfed, which makes sense. Now we have another S tier support / healer, Invisible Woman. She's able to go invisible, then she's able to have a double jump to survive a lot of instances, so that's great for her. Then she has a knockback ability, which will pull enemies away or pull them towards her. That can synergize with her area effect damage ability that also applies a slow and does tick damage. So it's just crazy that she has that already in her kit. Then her ultimate goes invisible as a team and then also heals everybody in that healing zone. She's a very strong character. And those shields that she plays down can also help out, in general, take more damage and more absorption when it's not even necessary. And the team up with Mr. Fantastic is great too. So I think this character is an S tier character easily. And it also makes certain situations like the enemy team trying to dive you completely useless. And I think that's what makes a character S tier. Same thing as Luna. When the enemy team dives you, just press ulti. That's the exact same thing you'll be doing as Invisible Woman. A great character, a very strong character, and her base attacks are really cheeky. I think it's actually better. I might put her above Luna. Her base attacks can actually go through multiple opponents and allies at the same instance. So she can heal and do damage at the same moment. So like rocket orbs, but now the rocket orbs can actually do damage. And they travel faster, and it has double hit. Because it goes forward and comes back. There's a return effect as well. Invisible Woman is absolutely crazy. S tier, for sure. Let's see if there's any amendments I want to change here on the tier list. Right now, looks pretty good. I'm trying to see if there's anything that stands out. Like Hawkeye being this low, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe around there. Just a bit higher than Magik, because maybe the consistency could be better on the character. Actually, maybe here. Like mid A tier. I'll put Hawkeye mid A tier. Everything else looks pretty good here. Cloak and Dagger above Squirrel Girl. Maybe like this. Yeah, that works as well. Like that. Yeah, this is it. This is my tier list. I don't know how Jeff became the worst character in the game, but it's there. But even then, at C tier, it's not that bad. It's like, it's still viable, still playable. It just becomes situational based and dependent on what's going on, map, team comp, and players and how they play with those characters. That's what makes them more situational at B tier and C tier. Above that, A tier, the low end of A tier, is still situational and depends how the players play it, but you get more value from those characters than the characters in B tier and C tier. And then from there, mid A tier starts getting more crazy. Then high A tier is more consistent, more damage, and just more of like a constant engagement thing. You're always going to see them. And then S tier is like must ban, must play characters no matter what this season. I think these characters above are going to change a lot within the meta. And we didn't even get new team ups this season, so this will change even further in season 2. But right now, Storm is on the come up. Namor is so good, so make sure to learn those characters as much as possible. And Invisible Woman will be out today, so make sure to play the character as much as possible if you haven't played it yet. And that is our tier list on Season 1, our early predictions of what's going to happen within this season, from the patch notes and the update information that we do know from this Season 1 update. This should be kind of crazy. I can't wait to see what ends up happening, and if this tier list does hold up to mid-season or end of season. We'll revisit it, double check it, and go through our opinions and thoughts about what the changes were. But tell me your opinions and thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think we cooked with this tier list? I'd love to know in the comments. As always, mates, it's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you mates next time. Bye-bye.